night, whatever the case may be. To all.
Yeah, we're on the air.
Hey, I liked your idea about the man parade, man.
I
Huh? You know what? Yeah.
I decide, just it was part comedy, but also part serious message involved there because, like, and I'm not racist at all, but like it's so bad now to be a white heterosexual male that you become a target for like anybody who feels offended by anything that you do, and it's like, holy crap, like get a grip, y'all.
Well, that's a good subject to talk about. I'm glad you brought that up because I you know I'm not feeling guilty of being white anymore. Okay, I really
Yeah,
never ever have been. When I grew up, I had more African American friends than I did white friends. I lived on the other side of the track. I
yeah.
lived in, and I played baseball, football, and sometimes I was the only white guy on the field. And it's
Yeah,
pretty, you know,
it was like that for me growing up too, because I mean, growing up in a poor city of Hamilton, I got into doing like hip hop music and stuff like that with a big crowd, and most of them were African or Guyanese or Jamaican. I grew up with so many of these guys, and like anybody that actually knows me from my early days knows that the last thing I am is a racist. Like absolutely. Um, I just find it so almost it's almost gotten to a point of a hypocrisy, because you, all these other groups asking for equality and human rights are virtually not responsible, but unaware of the fact that just as a white heterosexual male, we're losing our rights and our dignity on a daily basis. And
and
it's
it's by design.
Oh, I
It,
agree 100%. It's definitely by design. It's no average person's fault. Um, Even for the way they may think, they might not even realize why they think the way that they think. I mean, they're bombarded with media messages. They're bombarded with divisionary tactics throughout all forms of television programming, marketing, you name it. Um,
Colleges.
yeah, and the news. Yeah, the real fake news.
Yeah, but it gets to the point. Somebody was sitting there saying that an African American can't be racist. I laugh and I say, well, wait a minute here. They grew up, being taught one thing about us being racist, and their hatred
Yeah.
towards us is become an open thing. I mean,
Yeah.
how can that? You know what? There's white people that are racist and there's black people that are racist.
Yeah.
Let's face reality that there is racist people out there. You know, but
Well,
for,
and a lot of it's based on the fact that there's a lot of blaming going on for our previous transgressions, like slavery and all this and that. But what a lot of people don't talk about is Irish slavery or any other group throughout history, which most groups have experienced some form of slavery. And the irony of it is, we're all slaves right now.
yeah, we're slaves to the big corporation. Because this is what's going on. People sit there and say, you take Alex Jones for instance, okay,
Mm.
being shut down, all of his platforms now, even his website was shut down. But they sit there and say, well, they ain't not going to do that Facebook, Twitter, or YouTube because he's making them too much money. But if they want to silence him in his opinion or his beliefs, there you go. They're going to shut him
Yeah.
down. And all this relates around with Alex Jones too. Because I got some inside information on Roger Stone, and I'm not going to go into detail about that because I don't want Mueller coming and fucking having me go in front of a grand jury. Not just bullshit in there, but
Yeah.
it all stems around the midterm. And when you watch these socialists, because this is what they are, socialist medium platforms, they control the flow of news information. Hell, you know this, Robert.
Yeah.
They were controlling our feelings. Like they might send you pictures of dogs and cats and be sending me pictures of train wrecks. Controlling our emotions, our feelings. And people say, "Oh, they're crazy. You're nuts to believe in that." But then they came out and they admitted to this. You know, it's just like yesterday with Google. You could turn off your tracking device on any of your smartphone or anything. They're still tracking you. There's too many apps. Too many apps.
Yeah, and those apps are, you know, they ask you when you install them to have access to certain parts of your phone, like certain sub functions of your phone, and what you don't realize is that you're willfully giving them access to all of these features of the phone, regardless of whether Google's doing it or not. It's still being facilitated by the Google Chrome app or by Android or whatever your device may be. There's only there's a small number of ways to get around it. But still its efficacy, like its effectiveness is still based on how clever you are. Like, I mean, there are hackers that know how to, you know, utilize a system to their advantage. The technology can swing in somebody else's way, but how many average people have the time for any of that, to put in the dedication to learn these things? And it's like most people don't know even how their car works anymore. You know, it's getting to a point where we don't need to know how something works. We just utilize it for its convenience. And that's the sales pitch. It's the convenience. It's the, you know, it's the constant rush of dopamine that you get when you get likes and you're getting your posts shared and stuff like that. It's insane.
You know, on a fine example of what you just said there. For one thing, you talk about, you know, automobiles. You open up the hood and you shut the son of a bitch back up because you're like, I got to do all this just to get the spark plugs. You know, take this off, take that off. You know, exactly. So you got to take it to the dealership or somebody that can do it. You know, which you should be able to do this shit yourself. And the second thing is the views, like you said, the get high. Oh man, look, I just got 100,000 views off this video. You know, or look how many people are sharing it. You know, you're right. You know, it's a rush. It's an adrenaline thing going there. You know, and then all of a sudden, when you start getting shadow banned, you're like, you get pissed off. You used to getting maybe 1,000, 2,000 views, 3,000 views. You know, on average. You know, and then all of a sudden you're lucky to break 20, 30 views, and you're like, man, I'm pissed off. But see, I just say, you know what? I ain't silenced completely, so I'm okay with it. And it is what it is because I cannot do nothing about it. It's the socialist medium platforms that they own the rights to everything, and I agree to it, even though I didn't read the terms and conditions.
Oh, yeah, right. Yeah, who has time to read all that shit?
And it's like, you know, fucking 100 pages of bullshit, you know.
You got 15 apps installed on your phone. You're talking about like 2.5 days of just reading.
Yeah, well, and then I got to Google the word. What word? What's that word there? I got to Google it, shit. You know, figure out what the hell they that word means you're fucked.
Speaking in legalese.
But when you know, let's get back to the socialist media platform, Robert.
Well, actually, hang on. Before we do, I just want to. I don't know who's going to see this later, but we got 4 viewers watching this now, which is hopeful. And to anybody who watches this after the show goes live on my video collection, Ben Time Traveler is pretty much one of the first people I ever did a podcast with about sometime, I think, in early 2014, 2013. I don't even remember what year it was now, man. It's been so long. But,
12 or 13, yeah.
Yeah. Well, it was 2013, I think. It might have been 20. I don't think it was 2012, but it might have been 2013 or 2014. It's when I started traveling out to the provinces. And that's when I first got into the podcasting. And we had a lot of interesting conversations in those early days before, we pretty much we got bombarded by so many different channels saying so many crazy things. And it was almost like the Wild West back then on YouTube. Well,
that's because we were over the target about a lot of issues, you know.
Yeah.
Ain't it funny how we look today that how right we were back then about, you know, let's just say the abuse, because it's what it was abuse that we were taking. You know, people say you're attack, whatever, you know, whatever, man. But that all stems to what I'm trying to get to. It's the social media platform.
Absolutely.
It's the people that are in charge are these, let's just use the word sissy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, okay, that's a good word to use. You know, they're sissies. They're not the type of person that's gonna debate you openly. They're not the type of person that, you know, they'll sit there and say they're gonna kick your butt, but yet they won't go out in the middle of the street with you and kick some stones around. But
That's right.
but they got control with their social media platforms, and they can kick your ass that way.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what they're doing.
I was it's funny because I was doing construction work down in Kitchener-Waterloo in Ontario last year. And one of the clients that we had was an IT company, but they were located in a building with other IT companies. So we really kind of were able to see the type of people that make up all these new IT companies that are coming out. And a large portion of them are either like Y generation hipsters or these millennials that are just kind of starting to get out of school and start getting co-op jobs. And these are a strange breed of people. I don't want to hit them all with a general broad brushstroke and say they're all idiots, because no, some of them are brought up right. There's still some good parenting happening out there. It's few and far between, because the state is pretty much teaching growing kids these days. But I digress on that. It's just bizarre to see these pussycats that are going to be in charge of our nation and our technology and everything else coming up from this point. Yeah, they're taught these things in school, like to have safe zones. If they feel offended, they got somewhere they can go for a good cry. And it's fucking pathetic.
It's gotten to the point. You're exactly right too. It's gotten to the point where, you know, what I used to sit there and think, well, what's making these younger generation the way they are, and I understand it now. It's the parenting, the lack of parenting.
The lack of parenting, yeah, absolutely.
I mean, and then what you do is, you send your kid to the babysitter in front of the freaking TV, the computer, or the school system, which is another socialist platform to train our children to, you know, be what they are.
And you know, another factor too is positive role models, because in lieu of a good parental figure, because the parents they didn't always work out in every situation 20, 30 years ago, but we had positive role models for kids to actually go after and, like, I don't know, make up for some losses in their parents' attention or whatever the case may be. Now there's no real role models to get after. I mean, the state of morality with most, I mean, what, they're going to go to BuzzFeed and learn how to stick things up their nose or up their butt, or, you know what I mean? And just do stupid shit. It's ridiculous.
It's like the NFL and their protests for the police. Well, I just researched this the other day ago, and I was quite amazed of all the drunk driving, impaired drivings that NFL players got, how many spousal abuse cases there were, child abuse cases, drug abuse cases, et cetera, but yet you're going to come out here and condemn all police officers and say they're all bad. And but what you're doing is you're having an African American guy say that, and they're always showing the picture of a white cop. And there you go. And that's not true. You know, it's like Portland, Oregon. You know, the cops had a stand down order during the protest.
Yeah, I remember that.
But they did not stand down. And they defended the city and the people. And like four of them got disciplined for not standing down. Standing down, Robert. You know, but what's that? You know, these sanctuary cities are bullshit too.
The police are not compelled. They're not compelled to stop a violent crime in progress.
They're ordered not to in some of these cities.
Well, no, but they're not compelled to, like, in the sense that it's not their job to actually, like, if they make a rational choice to do it, that's one thing, but they're not compelled to do it by any agreement or responsibility. All they're charged with doing is catching the bad guy, the criminal, and charging him for breaking a law.
Yeah, well, during these protests, who's the criminal anymore? You know,
Well,
who's the bad guy too? You know, I mean, both sides. You know, I'm honest here. You know,
Yeah.
if you're out there starting to fight and you're on the right, you're wrong. If you're starting to fight on your left, you're wrong. But it seems to me that these socialists, because that's what they call themselves now. Everybody's calling them liberal. And I kept telling everybody, quit calling them liberals, because they're not liberals anymore. They're socialists, what they really are. You know, and they're the ones that Antifa, I call them Feces, you know.
Yeah.
They're violent, or they're violent.
Soros and CIA developed groups. It's insane. I mean, about Antifa and BLM and the feminist movement and all these other groups and foundations, all it does is it just creates more divide. In fact, we were kind of touching on this last weekend. FYGP joined me along with Conspiracy, and we kind of got into that. And the thing is, though, is that it's endless, and people don't they don't see it. They can't seem to process it. All they seem to process is the results of these stories, like you said, like, you know, what they show you, the imagery of, you know, who's to blame for this event, and, you know, they'll spin it around. Yeah, I'm completely disgusted with it.
And it goes beyond that, you know, BLM, I'm talking about Bureau of Land Management here in the United States.
Huh.
They're you know, what you see happening there with the land grabs and the way they go about it, and they literally have people thrown in prison to get their land for they can get the material, and usually who ends up with the oil, diamonds, or uranium, whatever, is foreign countries.
Yeah.
You know, it's sickening that people don't understand the truth that, you know, we're nothing but peasants outside them palaces' walls. So they can have walls to protect themselves, but we can't. You know, we can't have guns.
Yeah. Well, there's American companies that come over here and utilize our energy resources, take it back to the States, and then sell it back to us.
Vice versa. Vice versa.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I was talking to an individual about and nothing against Canadians, you know,
Yeah.
I love you, brothers, sisters, but I live right on the border of Michigan and Canada.
Yeah.
You know, right there. And I watch on a Friday, car after car come over the bridge, fill up their gas tanks, stop at the liquor store, go to the grocery store, go to the restaurant, and then they go back home. Well, yeah, because it's cheaper, you know,
Yeah.
and I don't blame them people. Well, people sit there and say, "Oh, that ain't right. No, they don't do that." Yeah, they do that. And I said, then if it was cheaper for me to go over in Canada, vice versa, I would be over there doing the exact same thing.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, exactly. And the thing, well, I guess the point I'm trying to make is that, like, if we have the resources here, we should have the infrastructure to produce and develop products that we don't have to go over to the United States for. Not saying that, going over there, having a weekend out with the wife or the kids or whatever the case may be, go with your buddies to go hit the bars or whatever. Yeah, I mean, other than that, you know, we shouldn't be forced to make those kinds of decisions. And the way that, like, the way the trade system is set up is pretty horrendous. I mean, all it does, again, it's another division tactic, but this one is not just, this isn't just intended for dividing people. This is intended for kind of like nest egging things, like, you know, like these corporations will come over here to save money on the free trade or NAFTA agreements, and then go back to their American market and sell their products, and then, you know, make more money off the trade by having a finished product to sell. So
yeah, I don't know why it can't be. I don't know why it can't be just equal. You know,
yeah.
Let's take a car for instance, with, you know, the tariff, the taxes, whatever you want to freaking call them. Why can't it be from Mexico, United States, Canada, Why there got to be one person's got to hire one person's got to low? Why can't it just be straight across the board? Why, matter of fact, why there got to be any of it anyway? Period.
Yeah.
You know, let's resolve this problem and do away with it. Period. Then you wouldn't have this problem all around the world. You know, what China right now, what China's doing. You know, because China's is they're evil, man. Let's just be honest.
Well, the big corporations that are winning financially are the ones who this benefits, and it's not simple. It doesn't benefit the people. It does. It doesn't benefit even the smaller companies and the the mom and pop shops. They get squeezed out. It's these corporate groups, like these larger institutions that are basically just keeping this system going.
Yeah, when in our lifetime has anything ever went down in cost? You know, like let's say smartphone. Every year it costs more and more. Every year PlayStation costs more and more. Your gallon of milk costs more and more. Your gallon of gas. Well, you guys got liters, right? So your liter of gas costs more. You know, when's it ever? You know, when's our electric bill went down? When's our gas bill went down? Never. It's always goes up and up and up.
Well, it'll continue to go up as long as they keep inflating the bill. I mean, they keep printing more money. They keep printing more money. Inflation goes up. I mean, it's this vicious cycle, and it'll never get less expensive under the current monetary system. It'll just continue going up and up and up until eventually it will collapse on itself. There will be a tipping point where it can't sustain itself.
It'll get to that point soon too, because regardless what our president does, regardless what's going on right now in our politics, which is it's like a freak show right now, you know, regardless, it can't sustain itself. Eventually it's got to collapse, man. Just like the housing market, the car market, you know, that's what gets me though. You know, they bailed out all them big banks during the houses crisis. They bailed out the car companies. But yet they don't bail us out when we're down and out, man.
Oh, no. But what they will do is they'll create a social welfare system where you've been given a bottom end limited income just to get the very, very basics you need to survive, and probably not even that much.
I don't even basics, man. I mean, it's. I know people that worked all their life and got sick and can't work right now and try to go down and get some public assistance, and they offer them less than $200 in food stamps, and that's it. Well, what about their house? You know, their gas bill, their electric. You know, it's like, and these people worked all their lives. You know, and all of a sudden they get sick and they want to get a little bit of help. They can't get no help. But if you're an illegal alien coming to the United States, they got a nice package for you, man. Yeah. Beautiful package.
Well, listen, taxation and redistribution of wealth is socialist activity. That is totally socialism. And that is like the redistribution of wealth, they say, is what pays for the police. It's what pays for the infrastructure. It pays to put roads on, or build roads rather, and make bridges over rivers and shit. The truth of the matter is, like, if you and I were living in the same neighborhood and it's like, man, we need a road from here to there. Don't you think we could organize and build a fucking road and maintain it? Yeah. We don't need them to make those decisions for us. And I mean, that's at the heart of the matter. This is about self-governance and not using a Ponzi scheme in order to pay for your own existence. And I mean, this is what's happening. And this redistribution of wealth from taxation, which is that's extortion in every sense of the word. Like, I don't, after a lot of thought and after a lot of thinking about, like wages and salaries, I don't believe in a minimum wage. I don't think there should be one. I think it should be commensurate to your performance, and you perform well, you get paid well, and it's that simple.
Let me touch on that, because
go for it.
I got all my life I've been a glorified cook. Okay, I got a chef degree. I have worked at McDonald's, Burger King, Subways as a manager. I come in and I clean up some restaurants like Burger King. I come in, I clean them up, man, because they're not doing good. The crews ain't doing their job. I come in and I clean the shit up. Okay.
Yeah.
I get paid halfway decent. But what I'm saying is, you can work at McDonald's or you can work at a restaurant that is a higher level restaurant and get paid more. You know, I worked at a restaurant called Great Lakes Inn. I got paid $20 an hour cash. I had free room and board. I had a 2-bedroom apartment, free cable, everything, washer, dryer, unlimited access to the bar. That's when I was drinking. You know, that was good money back then. That was damn good money.
Yeah.
Now, I could be working at McDonald's for what, $6-7 an hour. You know, what you're saying is what you get paid what you know and how good you are at what you do. You know, you can thrive in the restaurant business. You really can, because people are always going to eat. But if you want to work at McDonald's all your life, then go ahead. That's your prerogative. But if you want to better yourself, then you step up to a higher class restaurant and you get paid more money. But you got to be that person that can do that work, you know?
Yeah. And don't forget, though, the wages, jobs like McDonald's and Subway and these franchise operations, I mean, they're designed from the bottom up to create as much income as possible for that company. So all they've done is completely figure out how to cut as many corners as possible. And one of the first things that happen in that equation is the staffing. Like, you can't unionize like in that kind of environment. You try to unionize like with McDonald's, you're all fired because there's 20 others that'll come in to replace you the next day, and they don't, you know.
Oh, they'll come right up to you too. Oh, you're right at 40 hours this week, man. You got to go home now. Because even Lord forbid if you got an extra hour overtime pay.
Oh, right. Know? Yeah. Time and a half.
Yeah, you got to go now, you know. Well, my shift ain't over with you. Yeah, but you're going to have more than 40 hours this week, you know.
Yeah.
Well, that's bullshit too, you know. There's a lot of places that allow the overtime, you know. I got a friend that works at a factory, and it slows down in the summertime. They do a lot of car parts and stuff, you know. And mandatory for overtime. If you want it or not, you got to do it when they tell you got to do the overtime. You know, which he don't mind because he loves the work. He loves the extra pay.
Yeah.
But there's some people that can't do that overtime because they got family at home. You know, they got schedules that they you know set out and stuff. But yeah, what do you think about socialism?
Well,
give me your honest opinion too. Don't hold back.
yeah. I don't know, man. Like, I think I think any kind of ism is a form of government, and I don't think we need to be governed. I'm an anarchist, and I just don't think we need any government, socialist or not. So, like, I know it might sound like a cop-out, but really, like, I've put a lot of thought into this, like, because people say, oh, well, the social programs help people who are in need. Well, guess what? People should be helping each other if you're in fucking need. Like, your neighborhood, your community, you guys should be standing together, shoulder to shoulder, helping each other out when you're down, not just relying on your government to do everything for you and get you out of hot water. This, like, you know, many hands make light work. And I think people helping each other is a much better way to go about it. And it's more solidarity. Like, you wouldn't have all this division tearing people apart. And, like, you know, I think there's way more reasons to not have any government, socialist or not.
Well, it used to be like that, Robert. Your neighbors know that you got laid off from your job years and years ago, and you know, next thing you know, neighbors coming over bringing you some, you know, some dinner. You know, your family some dinner. You know, it used to be that way. It used to be neighbors used to talk to neighbors.
Yeah, I remember those days. Yeah,
but now it's like, do I really want to talk to that guy? You know, I mean, you know, maybe he don't believe what I believe in. Well, I guess, you know, there's some things you ain't supposed to talk about. Politics and religion.
Well, that's the old saying now, isn't it? And there's a reason for it.
Yeah, exactly. You know, but I talk to my neighbors, and I get along with all my neighbors.
And it didn't mean you weren't supposed to talk about it. It meant to say that it causes the most offense, and it's something that should be stayed away from at all costs in order to keep good relations and be diplomatic with people, because people getting heated, it doesn't make rational sense, you know, unless you're capable of holding out a rational conversation. certain things should be stayed away from.
Especially, you know, this is true. If you're in a bar, you definitely don't talk about politics and religion in a bar, man.
Yeah.
You're right there. You're done, man. There's going to be a fight.
Especially if you don't know them.
Yeah, you know. But I got a neighbor that's he kind of religion, don't drink, don't smoke, and all this stuff and stuff. I don't even watch much. He don't even watch much TV, you know. But I talk to him about certain things, you know, about you know, the corruption for what, you know, going around in our government, you know. And here's a guy that don't watch TV and don't follow none of it, but he's awake to it. He's awake to what's going on, but he chooses to shut it off, block it out, and just go on with his life and, you know, eventually die. Well,
Yeah.
I can't be that way because I got children that I got to fight for their freedom and their rights. And if I don't do it, you know, I can't sit there and want you to do it for me, you know.
That's right.
You know, I mean, we're in a bad place right now in this world, man. You know, I mean, we really are. And people are not understanding. They think that, well, we got freedom of speech. Look at you and Robert. You guys are doing a live hangout right now. So you guys got freedom of speech. Well, do we really got freedom of speech? You know?
You know what? I actually heard I read briefly about an article just a couple of days ago, and this is something in Canada, and I got to get more information. But for anyone listening, look into this because apparently there's talk that they're going to try and banish and rewrite our constitution, taking away freedom of speech. That speech will have to be, or I guess you could say, thrown into some sort of categories and how it's used in certain places, kind of like how they banned, you know, smoking in public places at first, and then, you know, or, you know, like I should say private properties, like, you know, public properties that private institutions that were providing the public with a service. You can't smoke there. Well, now they're even talking about taking away. I think they already did this in, I'm not sure if it's Switzerland or Sweden. It's one of the S's out there. And yeah, they've actually removed all public smoking. You can't smoke out on the sidewalk or a public park or on the street.
Well, there's some cities in the United States that you are not allowed to smoke outside your house.
Yeah. Well, I think this is what's happened already now in a couple countries in Europe.
Well, we've seen it slowly, like you just said, like the hospitals. Okay, you go outside to have a cigarette, right? But you got to walk way across the street to have that cigarette.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. Or you're waiting for the bus, you know, your city bus, and you're sitting there, and they come out and they tell you got to go over there to smoke.
Yeah, 10 yards away.
Know? Yeah, yards away. You know, yeah. And I'm like,
yeah,
but freedom of speech will be controlled, man.
Well, first, what they did was control what you could hate. So, like, to say I hate something used to be one of your God-given rights. To say I don't like what I'm experiencing in whatever shape or form, and I hate that. And that would drive people to cause change, to vote on this, to do that, to march out onto the streets, whatever the case may be. But now they made that horribly illegal. And then because of that, then you have the rise of these SJW types and these freaking groups, and they don't even know what the hell they're fighting for. It's just they're just getting pissed off over this, that, or the next detail. Like Victoria, British Columbia, they just took down the Sir John A. Macdonald statue, and he was a prominent figure. He had a lot to do with the massacre of a lot of Indians, like Native American Indians, and he wasn't necessarily a good guy when you start looking at it, but he was a prominent figure in our history that shaped the history of this country, and is, regardless, love him or hate him, he's part of the history. He should be remembered, because then that way we won't make those mistakes again. However, they removed the friggin' statue. This is very comparable to what happened there with the Confederate statues business.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and it's actually what you just said. It's there as a reminder not to make the same mistake.
That's right.
You know? That's right. But yet they cover it with more lies, like our Democratic Party. they're actually were the ones that were fighting to keep the slavery.
Yeah.
You know, people, but yet now more African Americans vote for Democrats. You know, and they just don't understand it. You know, they don't understand that the welfare system was created back in the day for a certain reason. Because back then there was a certain group of individuals, African American group, that was rising up with their voices. They were making some noise, and they were becoming powerful. And all of a sudden, hey, wait a minute, we're going to give them what they want, a little bit of what they want. We'll give them the free housing and, you know, the Section 8 and the food stamps and all that. And that'll quiet them for a while.
Yeah. And then when we threaten to take it away, they'll do anything we want.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's where we stand today with the welfare system. It's not designed there to really help people. You know, I talked about this with the prison systems and the welfare system. If you had programs put in place for a person that got out of prison, if you had a program put in place to help him get back on his feet, help him get back into society, okay. But we don't have them programs. We don't have programs for the welfare system where you can go retrain somebody for a job career, maybe in cooling or heating or they don't got that. They rather keep them on that. And that way, said, when time comes, push the shove, shut up, or we'll take it away from you.
Yeah, and you know that's kind of touching on a very similar topic regarding immigration. And believe me, I have no problem with immigrants at all whatsoever, as long as you're not inviting in the wrong ones that are going to cause trouble. And you know, I mean, both of our nations, the U.S. and Canada, we were built on immigrants. Like immigrants came here from all over the world, like different countries, to create these lands, and work together to build them. Sometimes against each other in certain cases, but that's just the nature of the beast. However, when immigrants come in, I don't know how it is in the United States, but in Canada, when an immigrant comes in from his other country, certain things are evaluated. And one is his skill set. What's he able to do? Blah, 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 blah. I mean, their economics, back where they came from, how can they help themselves, help us? You know what I mean? Basically.
Exactly.
And
we don't got that here. We don't got that here like that in the United States of America, which our president's trying to say, look, just like you said, I don't got nothing against them either, man. If you come through the front door the right way, I'm down with that.
That's right. Yep.
Back door, I ain't down with that, because both countries are a beautiful melting pot of beautiful people from all around the world.
Yeah.
But we built this country with honest people, you know. But what we see coming in our countries now is, well, we know we're going to get this for free. We don't have to have no work.
Well, here's where I'm starting to develop a problem, because you're starting to get where I'm going with this, because like some of the immigrants that come in here get handed like they'll get assigned a worker. The worker will show them exactly where to go to apply for these grants and these jobs, and start building a program and structure for English as a second language, and start really helping them and basically roll out the red carpet for them to go through a program set of instructions to become a citizen and all of these things. While regular everyday Canadians here have to Google this shit, have to research it, have to stumble on their face so many times, have to go through all these hoops and, you know, these social programs that are basically meant to put them through like the turnstiles, you know what I mean? It's horrible at the end of the day, because like people who were born here don't get the same service as some of these immigrants who are just being kind of given the yellow brick road. And it's just a little bit sad that like these so-called social development programs can't even help the people here. Sure, some programs that some people apply themselves, it's great. But look at people like we're like recovering drug addicts, like you said, people just coming out of jail from like long periods of time, and or getting off alcohol or whatever their story is. getting into a workforce, getting back into a routine will have many different issues associated with it. And like these programs that they have in place for those people are subadequate. They're not even built with the same, I guess you could say, fervor as these other programs for immigrants that come in from another country. They just get handed an itinerary. You do this, you'll have, you know, your family of 3 living comfortably with a, you know, 5-figure income, and you'll be fine.
See, that's my point. That's my point about people coming out of prison or people that got laid off or got sick. They have to jump through them hoops after hoop after hoop just to get somewhere, to get a little bit of help. But yet, our society's messed up. They don't help the people that really need it. You know, that somebody's worked for 30 freaking years and all of a sudden they got sick or they got laid off and they can't find another. There's no program for them. There's nothing there. Like you just said, you got to Google it. You got to get out there and you got to hit the streets and try to find another job. You know,
yeah. Which if you had health issues or physical disability because of being hurt, I mean, is really, really hard and impossible. And guess what you have to fall back on? Exactly what I said earlier about having your friends, family, and community behind you to sort you out and help you, because you end up having to do it anyway. You know, and the way that people are configured now is they look at people like that as leeches or bums, or, oh, you didn't figure it out, or you should have thought ahead. You know, you should have hedged yourself against this kind of stuff. But that's just the wrong mentality, because people should just be helping each other all along the way. Sorry, my rant is over.
Right. And how about the individual that worked, let's say 40, 50 years for cash, which people make mistakes doing that. But the guy worked for 50 years for cash. Well, and now
his company should be stepping up and paying for his goddamn whatever he needs, because that gentleman is probably, or lady, has definitely lined the pockets of that company all of those 50 years.
Exactly.
You know, and that company should just stand up, take the responsibility, take the bullet for someone who's basically giving them the power to be where they are that day. And, you know, this is why I don't believe in the distribution of wealth, because you can always think of a positive way to create that influence for something that's lacking or missing. You know what I'm saying? So I in a roundabout way, I'm giving you my complete and total unbridled opinion on socialism and the redistribution of wealth.
There's no excuse for not working. I mean, you could cut some wood, man, and sell the damn wood. You know, yeah. You could go out and hustle cutting grass. You could walk somebody's dog. I mean, you could find the money source. You know, if you apply yourself and you go out there and you look. But it's become now that, in my opinion, they want everything for nothing. The colleges, the housing.
Yeah. A lot of people, the
cell phones, the internet now. You know, there's groups of individuals, not only do they want to do away with our ICE here in the United States, they want to do away with the president of the United States, not Trump.
I heard about that.
You know, I mean,
they've been pushing the idea of a huger organization running certain countries as wards. So, like, basically, I think what we're going to be seeing is like either the UN or some multilateral foundation of sorts making the decisions for the countries. But it'll happen. It'll only happen once they start legislating power to people. Like they'll be making some major changes, but this is what they've been working towards. Things like the Trans-Pacific Partnership and other things that have been pushing towards the move to take away rather the power that a country holds for its own citizens by an elected leader, which you know as well as I have. There's no one's really been sure the illusion of democracy is there, but technically both sides are corrupted anyway, and it's just controlled opposition on both sides. So, like, I don't think it would be any different if Hillary were there. I don't think it would be any different. It could be worse, just in a different way. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, it's like open borders. Yeah, sure, it's fine, right? You know, United States and Canada open up the borders, but who the hell wants to go down to Mexico or South America? You know,
I do.
I don't.
I love Mexico. I lived there for 2 years. I want to go back.
I just it don't do nothing for me, dude.
No,
know?
you know what I like about that place? Now, I'm not talking about the tourist traps. I'm not talking about the cities like Acapulco where they have a high contingent of mafia and corrupt government. I'm talking about hardworking, like blue collar places like Puebla and what have you. The people there are just absolutely amazing and aren't afraid to work damn hard. I mean, they'll just work hard to put food on the family on the table for their families, and whether or not they're driven by their religion or their culture or whatever, just watching them create these results and the level of devotion to doing it, you know. Sure, you got a small contingent of those who are doing you know, nefarious activities and what have you, but mostly in these blue collar places, I mean, they'll go, and like I said, they'll cut firewood and walk around house to house selling firewood to people, like in some of the more jungly areas.
Right. Well, that's true. You know, you get that in Canada, you get that United States. There's certain areas you just know are bad areas to be in. You know, we call it whatever. You know, there's just certain areas that in Mexico or South America that you know that you just do not go into. You know, because it's just what it is. You know, I always wanted to go to Chile. I mean, I don't know why. I just always wanted to go there. And you know,
Chile and Peru. I would like to see Peru as well. Chile or Peru.
I think it holds a history for mankind. You know, I think because a lot of our history's been hidden from us. The truth. You know.
Yeah.
I mean, you just don't have all these pyramids all around the world, and back then they didn't have boats, planes. They didn't travel. You know, from one continent to another.
That's what we knew of, yeah, but that's true.
Exactly, you know, but yet they got all these designs of pyramids basically the same, different things, you know, and you're thinking to yourself, well, how could that possibly be? Because that history's been hidden from us. We don't know the truth to it, you know, just like you said, we know that they weren't traveling back then, you know. We don't know that.
We don't know what they had or what they didn't have. We don't know how they built half the shit. We don't know so much, and yet, you know, we try to build this picture like we do know, and that if you think that you know and it's not the same narrative that we say that we know, well, then you're just crazy and you're just making shit up. But really, the fact is nobody actually knows. They've just got evidence that points to a conclusion. But let's just say that we only have 10% of the evidence available to us. We're assuming the other 90.
Right. Well, my theory on it is that the landmass, the water wasn't as much as it is now in the oceans. The landmass was up higher. So they were, I believe this. I believe that they were able to travel from like Africa to South America. Because there's, you know, like a landmass, you know, and all of a sudden, you know, maybe we had the ice age and the ocean rise.
I think you're right. Things were way more connected, eh?
Yeah. You know, because we were one time just one giant continent, you know, and it just kind of drifted. Pangea. Yeah. So who knows? You know, maybe that, you know, and then all of a sudden, you know, but like you say, they come up here and they try to tell us this is the way it is, and you don't believe that way, then you're a nut job. You know.
That's right. Yeah.
Because you can't have opinions and theories anymore. Oh no, man.
Oh no. And if it goes against, you know, the scientific community's I guess their unified theory that they have, like when I say unified, I mean amongst their peers, but like under peer review, if you don't go along with it, then like I said, you're considered crazy. Like you have to build a theory, a hypothesis, and then you have to try to prove it wrong. And if you prove it wrong, then it's not the case, and go the original story that we came up with in the first place.
Right. Here's a good example of that. Global warming. Okay, whether you know it's global warming in the summertime, it's climate change in the wintertime. Okay, but
right.
do I believe that man's having a footprint on this? Yeah, somewhat. But but my belief is the earth fluctuates throughout the history of time. It's
That's right.
always
Absolutely.
so man's little bit of a little bit ain't affecting what they're saying it's affecting. And once again, it's just about carbon tax, man.
Yeah.
It's all it is, But no, but if you talk, you can't deny climate change or global warming, whatever you want to say, because like on Facebook, they'll shut you down now.
Oh yeah, that's true.
So
yeah, that's absolutely true. But Ben, I wanted to keep this down to about an hour, and a little bit. Is there let's do this again later this week if you want to.
That's cool.
Right on. Yeah, no, I always enjoyed our talks, man. And is there anything you'd like to say to the folks out there?
It's very easy. Peace, love, and understanding, man. Understanding of each other, peace, and just love, man. That's it. It's not so hard, is it?
No, and when you put it like that, I mean, it is very, very simple. But and you don't it doesn't take much. You know what? You have to try a lot harder to be an asshole. It doesn't take any energy to be just cool.
Exactly. I mean, respect other tribes out there and respect their ways, their beliefs, but don't push that crap on me though. I mean,
that's right.
Be honest with you, but respect other people's beliefs and opinions, man. And this world will be a lot better, man.
I agree 100%.
And don't depend on the goddamn governments of the world either, man.
Yeah, you know what? If you pay them no mind, they will go away. Now, it might not be totally that easy, but with that in mind, you don't need them. And enough people need to know that we don't need them.
No, we can do things ourselves, man.
We absolutely can.
They don't represent our us anyway. It's like you talked about the roads and shit. They're not getting fixed none, but they sure are charging us more taxes to fix them.
True story. And further to that, there's also more of us than there are of them. So
a lot.
There's a lot more. So I mean, they might have it in their mind that they can control us and make a power play, but really, if it really came down to it, and every man, woman, and child were just to say no, they wouldn't be able to do anything.
And it's a good point there too, Robert. People always get the fear of the militaries of the world sticking up for these elite. Well, that's not going to happen because you know who the military is? People like me and you.
That's right. That's a great point.
And they're not going to turn against their brothers and sisters and family, man.
No, that's why they're trying to grow their own synthetic people and make robots.
Artificial intelligence, man. Yeah, I guess China's got over 100,000 of them made already.
Oh, it doesn't surprise me. Oh, they're going to start using them soon, but I think they're going to use them on each other first. It'll be a show. It'll be a show of the technology and what it's capable of doing to the rest of us. Watch. It'll be the next chapter of the Fear Tactic Parade.
Yeah, then we do need a solar flare to knock out the power grid. Shut them son of bitches down, man.
That's right. Yeah. No, I agree 100%. But with that, I'm going to let you guys all go. It's been a long day for me. I did a lot of hard work and doing some construction stuff, and there's a lot of fires, all that smoke coming from California. Plus, we got about 40 fires over the last weekend with some thunderstorm activity in the interior area of British Columbia. And so the valley here is completely and totally just thick with smoke. You can't really, you couldn't even see the sun yesterday morning as it came over the hill. It was just completely and totally covered over. So,
wow.
Yeah, no.
Where are you at right now?
I'm in British Columbia. Yeah, I'm in the interior. So there's a lot of fires here, but even more so down in California and going down towards, down towards the more deserty areas. There's a lot of arid, dry air coming up through there, and it's just drying everything out like a tinderbox. You get one bad thunderstorm, lightning. There's theories of friggin' death rays and conspiracy to set fires, but this is a very natural occurrence. It's just a really bad year, in my opinion. But
Yeah, and ours was we did have one that was literally set, and then another one was caused by a car. But most of it's just like you said, it's natural.
yeah,
You know, and people want to always put a blame on something. Laser weapons are being used, man.
yeah,
Man, it is what it is, man.
it's a true story.
Yeah. All right, Robert, we'll have to do this again sometime, man.
Yeah, man,
Soon.
I'll be in touch with you real soon, and maybe in the next couple of days, maybe we could do this once a week or something. But take care, everybody out there listening, and well, we'll see you back here the next time we do this, and maybe we'll announce it first. What do you say there, Ben?
Maybe. Yeah, maybe we should. Maybe we'll get more people to show up. All
right, we're ending the live broadcast now, and just stay on there. Ben will be right with you.